Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Hello, everyone. This is Gary Wilson, and welcome to this podcast version of Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women. So, brief reminder, if you have not yet subscribed, obviously you can go to iHeartTunes or Apple. There's a number of venues out there to subscribe to the podcast. Again, the podcast is if you are a dentist, a chiropractor, a teacher, a professional in your field, that includes even firemen and policemen, by the way, and pilots, for example, military, engineers, and you have a strong interest in investing in real estate, but more importantly, diversifying your funds, your assets, then you come to the right place. This is what we do is we invest using fundamentals, blocking and tackling, basically, putting skin in the game, buying the right properties the right way with the right team, using the right resources. As we're not into the smoke and mirrors techniques. I'm not saying they don't work. It's just that's not who we are. Okay, this is for people who feel, think, speak, and act professionally and invest the same way. So we care about our communities. We invest ethically. We look to improve the communities. And as a result, we win even more. So it's all about the win-win. And we also are experts at leveraging what you've already got. If you've got a business, a practice, you're a service provider, you can leverage that business by getting a business loan and loaning those proceeds through another business loan to an LLC that allows you to acquire real estate. That's how you should do it. Okay, I'm not an attorney, but that's the basic construct that we follow. Also, if you want to be part of the community, welcome aboard, because there's several thousand of us all over the U.S. and Canada. I've personally taught over 20,000 people over the years, and most of them investors and professionals just like you and I. Okay, but more importantly, we have now a set of agents, real estate agents, who are trained professionally to work with us. They're not in the commercial world. They come from the residential world, but they focus on investing, flipping, buying rentals, so forth and so on. So in any case, I'm glad to have you here. We have a special guest today, Lilia Severina. Lily and I have known each other for probably 3 years now. We were in a mastermind group together. Of course, I'm in the States. I live everywhere in the States, and Lilia is in London, England. So Lilia, welcome aboard. I'm glad you've taken the time here to spend time with my folks.
Hi, Gary. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me. Really pleasure to be on this podcast.
Well, it's glad to speak with you again too. And personally, I know you're a great person, and I think what you do in the world of service is pretty awesome. So if you could, Lilia, for people who are not familiar with your name, just tell us a little bit about who you are, so they have a pretty good feeling for maybe what you're doing, where you are, and how you got to that point.
Yes, sure, of course. So I am based in London. I have a consulting company in London. I set it up in 2011, and I specialize in financial technology. I have also invested in real estate around the world, actually. So I believe that real estate is a great way to invest money. And there's plenty of opportunities in many countries, and pretty much all through the cycle you can invest in real estate. I specialize in capital markets, so I also invest and I work with investors who look to invest in trading strategies. So specifically, we specialize in systematic trading, algorithmic trading, where essentially strategies in foreign exchange or commodities or equities, options, etc., executed systematically and algorithmically. So that's my current focus. I have been involved over the past few years in cryptocurrencies as well, but since, of course, cryptos have declined, we have switched for the time being more and have more focus on traditional stock market type opportunities. So that's essentially what we do. We specialize in alternative strategies, which essentially look at 22% upwards per annum return. And so investors come to us if that's the kind of return they're looking for.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, I love all that you've done over the years. I know, I've been able to meet several times and for masterminds and have dinner, and there's a lot of wealth of experience you bring to the table. And I think combined with the consultants you work with, collectively, you got over 100 years experience. And you set up the organization called Fixtrade. That now goes back probably 8 or 9 years, if I recall correctly. And I love the fact that you've gone to a lot of foreign countries, probably over 80, and helped a lot of brand new, fresh entrepreneurs align with their own governments to set up businesses. And I'd like to expand on that a little bit, because I think what you discovered, which was refreshing for me, was a lot of these governments were very, very interested in helping their citizens build their own businesses. Would you mind just shed a little light on that? Because I think the people that I work with and follow would really be intrigued by that.
Yes. So I my background is that's absolutely right. Working with governments, banks, and also on large infrastructure projects. So I've done deals in over 80 countries and have personally been to a majority of those countries. And we focused on helping, especially developing and less mature markets and countries to help the entrepreneurs and businesses grow in those countries. So we worked on various initiatives where people offered kind of businesses in the box in those countries. And of course, internet marketing is one of those areas where graduates and entrepreneurs from all walks of life can set up a business, and real estate is also a big part of it, because most of those countries have quite large real estate development projects going on, and there is a real shortage of accommodation in residential sector, for example. So I also work with Prince's Trust, which is a foundation set up by Prince Charles in UK. But it's a global organization, and we fund young entrepreneurs from 17 really up to 29 years old, looking to set up a venture. So I have a lot of experience in helping entrepreneurs grow and guide them also how to manage their business, and once they're successful, how to invest their money wisely. I guess that's what you were referring to, Gary, right?
Yeah, and I just think that's amazing that you do that. And it's what I've learned is I call it prosperity through service. Serve first, and you shall prosper as a result. And you've definitely served a lot of people, and I think that's admirable. I think there's many people will be listening to this, Lilia, who are part of an organization called the National Association of Women Business Owners, and we in the States, we've had a lot of a great increase in foreign investment. People from all over the world investing here in of course, real estate, but other ventures also. But also, I think it opens up people's eyes to invest in other countries. I know I've invested here in the U.S. and Canada. I know people who've invested in of course, England and New Zealand. But what I want to ask you about is just to kind of follow up with what we're describing, is a little bit of the where. Like, you've been all over the world, you've been to most of the continents, a lot of countries. Is there anywhere in particular you can think of where there's more involvement, like maybe certain countries in the Middle East or European countries, where you've seen more interaction, more engagement with them, starting their own businesses and wanting to invest in real estate, in this case, abroad and here in the States? I mean, so where would you say you've been focusing more of your attention's been drawn to? What parts of the world?
Well, right now, I think a lot of money is coming from Asia. I was probably about a month ago, I was in China, and it was quite interesting, like the statistics that over 90% of shoes, bags, and toys that we have come from China. And in terms of production, they exceed really many of the countries. So US is obviously one of the largest consumers of Chinese products. And I'm probably saying it is with rather, maybe not the best of timing, since the conflict, so to say, between US and China on the economic side, which I'm sure will be resolved. But in any case, there's a lot of money there, not just in China, but in Southeast Asia as well. So I went to Singapore, Hong Kong, and China on my trip. And that particular region is quite hungry for investments and looking for opportunities in developed markets in countries like USA and Western Europe.
Yes, sir. Everyone listening, if you're also a realtor, you also have your realtor's license. I hope you just really listen to what Lilia told you, because I know for me in my business, I have a lot of realtors that I work with and I've trained around the US and Canada, and I've been telling them for years, you really need to focus some attention on foreign investors and make sure you of course do a good job, but learn not just the business of investing here in the States, but more importantly, learn about them, their culture, and particularly if you can learn their language. If you already speak a foreign language, it's a huge advantage. And you mentioned the Asian market. I've seen the same thing. And one of the things I've recognized is trust is a huge factor with a lot of foreign investors, particularly Asian, because they do invest here, or they come here personally to invest. They're learning a new language, learning a new culture, and it's just natural. We all would do the same thing. Trust has to be earned. So once you show them that you care enough to learn about them and help them make wise decisions, show them the tools that we have available to invest, and the strategies and the techniques and the connections with the right attorneys and insurance people and financiers and contractors, boy, your whole world will open up. I've had situations where I just work with one investor, and by the end of the year, that one investor has probably brought in investing dollars from 20 other investors, and they look to that one person here in the States to be sort of their feet on the ground, because they've established relationships to help them make a lot of money. So that's an incredibly valuable lesson. Now, as far as time frame, Lilia, I know that you created a Fixtrade in 2011, but going back prior to that, let's say going back to right after the tech, the year 2000 till now, is there anything in your experience that you think if you could share with people that has to do with timing? A lot of people try to time markets and time investing. I just learned myself that I just need to know what the market's doing. It's not that I don't ever invest. I only invest in certain times. I just want to know what the market is doing, so I know what strategies to use. But what, if anything you've discovered yourself in the last 18, 19 years, we've been through the ups and downs, that you could share with people as far as timing goes?
Yeah, I have actually indeed learned quite a lot about timing. I guess one of the most interesting things that I have learned over the years is that money doesn't disappear and money travels. So, or smart money, as we say, smart money. So, people who are multimillionaires, billionaires, multi-billionaires, trillionaires, all these people, especially that have built their fortune over, centuries rather than last, say, 20 years, they are really the masters. Many of them are the masters of timing, and they're called smart money for that specific reason, that they are very smart with the management of their money. So that smart money travels. So when there is a financial difficulty or a crash in USA, it doesn't mean that the money disappears. It just means that it travels, and quite often it would travel from US to Europe, from Europe to Asia, and then from Asia to emerging markets. Or sometimes it skips and it travels from, when especially in 2007-8, we had a crash in US, and then Europe followed quite closely after, within a year. And then a lot of money went into the BRIC countries, which is Brazil, Russia, India, and I forget the last one. Anyway, and now we have the Tiger 8 countries, and China, of course, Brazil, India, Russia, and China, BRICS countries. So apart from that, I have also learned that, and I really believe in 18-year cycle, where there is a 4-year downtime, which is what we had from 2008 to 2012, and then you have 7-year uptick. We had 6-year uptick, so it is from middle of last year up until now, the S&P 500 has been sort of falling somewhat. And then so you have this mid-cycle dip, and then you have another 7-year rise. So it's 18 years in total, 7 plus 7 plus 4. So I have actually learned that in 2000, when being in the tech sector, I was beaten up quite badly during year 2000, and went through quite a few entrepreneurial projects that didn't work out, and also various startups and more mature companies where things just didn't work at all. So I was bouncing from project to project for a while, and that made me very interested in bull and bear markets and how that work. So I've also learned that whenever there is a crisis in one market, there's normally an opportunity in the same geography, but maybe in a different space. So by the time 2007 crash arrived, and of course we actually in London, we had a substantial boom market in property from about 2002 up until 2009 or thereabouts. So when the stock market crashed the second time, I was actually fully prepared, and I researched, where basically innovation will prop the market and pull it out of any potential downturn. And for me, that area was high frequency trading. I know in the press it was talked down a lot at the time, especially in around 2010, 2011. But that market has really started in 2005. And for those of you who know Michael Lewis, I really enjoy his books. So one of his books, Flash Boys, it actually almost describes my years, when that boom happened in low latency trading. So I managed to position myself very well for growth in high frequency trading in this transition from floor trading to electronic trading in stock exchanges. And I was right in that market when the rest of the economy was falling apart, property market was collapsing. And during those years, I made way more money than I could even imagine before. So that was very interesting to see how I struggled really. Actually, in 2000, I just got divorced. I had a child. I was unemployed, and things seemed to be falling apart around me. And then when the next crash came along in 2007, I was actually in a very strong position and knew exactly how to deal with it. So yeah, I think there's definitely, it's worth timing things and anticipating things. But also, if you've missed this cycle and mistimed it, to just keep your eyes open, just like you say, Gary, and to see, okay, where has the money traveled? Where is it now? Maybe I can invest in that.
Well, it's so interesting. You mentioned it and you state it that way because the when and the where have a lot to do with each other. They're very much related when it comes to investing. And one of the things I really admire about you is you always are open and awake to opportunity, and you recognize opportunity partly because of your experiences. You've seen the highs, the lows, the ups and the downs, and I understand your I call that sort of a what question, like what are you doing now? Is you're working on an effort now, I believe, with a hedge fund, and it really allows you to leverage all your knowledge you've gained over the years. But would you mind sharing a little bit about what you're doing now? Because you may have some folks listening who are interested in what you're doing and even participating. Gary Wilson here. I just wanted to let you guys know, remind you, that we do have our very next 3-day event coming up April 5th, 6th, and 7th at the Anaheim Marriott, right outside the gates of world famous Disneyland, located at 700 West Convention Way, of course, in Anaheim, zip code 92082. Okay, you can go to myinvestmentservices.com, look for the information on the event. Also, you can contact us, support at myinvestmentservices.com, or call 1-800-931-2605. So this is for you. Whether you're a chiropractor, dentist, teacher, fireman, policeman, pilot, military, engineer, this is designed to bring you together to talk about investing the right way. So what this is not the no money down owner financing stuff. Okay, I'll show you how to invest if you don't have a lot of cash right now or no cash. Okay, we just do it differently. We don't put you at risk by doing hard money loans, borrowing against other people at 10, 12, 15% with lots of points that chew up all your equity and cash flow. We actually show you how to leverage what you've already got and borrow against yourself. You probably have more than you actually realize even you have, especially if you have your own practice or your own business, okay? And by the way, the cool thing about this is you're going to meet the people you need to meet to support you. I've trained over 20,000 investors and agents around the U.S. and Canada last several years. And at the event, there'll be a lot of agents there right here in your area in Southern California that I personally train to work with us, to work with you and me on investing. These are not regular realtors. They're certified. They work specifically with us, flipping homes and buying fourplexes and stuff like that. So come and connect with them, get the tools, you get the strategies, you get everything you need, okay, so that you can succeed. So this is designed specifically for you. It's not for everybody. That's why we narrow down the target audience, just for you and others just like you. So welcome aboard. Look forward to seeing you there. Reach out, contact us, grab yourself a spot. There's some specials going on. I've got an agent right now meeting with chiropractors at the local association dinners, for example. So come on aboard, come join the community, bring your children, let them go to Disneyland on Sunday. We're done in half a day on Sunday anyways. You can join them and enjoy the rest of the day there. So God bless you. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.
For me, I'm always looking, I'm quite opportunistic, just like Gary, you said. Yeah, exactly. Very opportunistic. So over the years, I personally have invested into companies and property and gold and various strategies. I develop my own strategies. I trade as a day trader through hedge funds. So I'm kind of very curious. And of course, I also, in the past had a sort of a pension fund wealth manager, and every year used to have arguments with him, being disappointed with returns through my pension fund. And I remember every year I used to tell him, okay, bear in mind, I'm trading against you. So you have to, I'm paying you a big fee. So you have to show me better results than what I can achieve myself. And year into year, he kept disappointing me with results of like 3%, 6%. If you push him really hard, he might give you 7%. Still disappointing. And then I've discovered a number of other funds that, delivered like 14, 15, 16%. Of course, property is still, I still believe in property. So once I make good returns in capital markets, I think, the best thing you can do is then to put it either into gold or property, because into something solid and less risky. But for income or for sort of with your high risk capital, capital market strategies can be very, very fruitful, really. So I've invested into various strategies with varieties of funds over the years, and also, for those who know what it means, managed accounts where you don't let control over your money, but it's still systematically traded. And through actually personal experience and many losses and gains in that sector, I now have built very good way of differentiating between opportunities and selecting funds that can really deliver in a risk-managed fashion good returns. So once I built that knowledge and started working and actually investing through funds, I'm really a believer of put your money first and then see what happens, and then encourage other people only after that, or present those opportunities. So and then the next question came, okay, well, there are some strategies that give you very good returns and also have a good risk management. So, when the market turns, you don't get slapped too badly. So the what's called the drawdown is by how much funds your capital can decline in any given month. Mm-hmm. So if the returns and drawdown are really good, then next question becomes fees. And in this sector, the better the strategy, the higher the fees, which is, I guess, probably understandable. So, but having said that, there are some very experienced managers and traders that are able to offer, fairly competitive propositions. So my company, we have now aligned. So initially we worked with 3 funds, and now we've really started working a lot closer with just one, that have a very solid set of strategies that where you can either keep control over your money or you can put it straight into a fund. So this new concept of managed accounts, where the technology is simply connected to your account, I think is such an excellent way of giving control to the investor. Mm-hmm. So to cut long story short, so we work with this fund and essentially currently raising money, looking for investors who would like to generate 20% or more than 20, sort of about 22 upwards on strategies. And it's fully audited strategies with history going back a few years. So yeah, and it's very exciting because it really was a journey of quite a few years to find the right vehicle. Mm-hmm. And to be able to work closely with the partners and really find the sort of trustworthy and very credible team behind the fund as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I think I know that's something I'd be interested in. We wouldn't want to have potential 20% of the track record to demonstrate that. So maybe when we're done, I've got another big question for you, but maybe before we wrap up, Lily, you could share with everyone how they can find you. Maybe website, contact information, anything you can share with them, because I want to help everybody that I work with and who follows me, help them succeed. And it's not all just about real estate. I obviously that's for me the focus, but I've invested in the stock market. I've worked with hedge fund managers myself personally over the years, and so I like the diversity. But before we go there, I wanted to ask like the why question, like what drives you? Because I know you came to London many years ago, and I think it was the Ukraine where you originally came from, and so you've got a pretty interesting perspective on things through a different pair of eyes. Like me, I was born in Germany. And of course, I live in the States now and part-time in Canada. But it's interesting to see things through different eyes and to see how other people are seeing things. But if you don't mind sharing, like what drives you? What was maybe an inspiring moment? And maybe you mentioned earlier about when you went through a divorce and you had your daughter and all that, but maybe that was it. But if you don't mind, as much as you're willing to share, the reason I ask it is, I think it would help a lot of people who are going through potentially similar circumstances,
Yes, of course. So I was born in Ukraine, and through a variety of peculiar circumstances, ended up by myself in London after USSR fell apart, and my parents sort of emigrated, but more like became asylum seekers in Germany, and then I managed to make myself my way to London or to UK, and it was pretty incredible really to be in UK and see all the opportunities and have really no point of reference for this kind of life. Where I was brought up, I always used to say that everything was great, people were great, many people were like war unhappiness on their faces.
Yeah.
And it was very cold. There was hunger at the time when USSR fell apart. We really had no food. So people used to queue for bread from 6 a.m. And then by the time it's 9 o'clock, all the bread was sold out. So yeah, very, very tough time. So, and I'm still actually so incredibly grateful for the life that I have. I think to me, it's just magic if I compare, where the way that we lived and the difficult circumstances when I was a teenager or young adult and the life I have now. I could have never imagined the transformation. Being from Ukraine, I was brought up to psychologically kind of conditioned to get married early and have children early. So by the time I was, I think even before 21, in fact, I was already married, and at 21, I had my daughter. And then, of course, at that kind of young age, I was quite unprepared for the competitiveness, I guess, but also I had this amazing sort of drive and desire to achieve more and to kind of grab the opportunity. Carpe diem, as Gary, you like to say, is the moment.
Yeah.
So I constantly studied and looked for ways to improve life and to my life and my family's life, but also I believed in private education. So I was very driven to make enough money, which actually unfortunately wasn't the right kind of, I wasn't really the right person for my ex-husband, who was actually a lovely man, but he needed somebody who is a bit more focused on family, and I was very career driven. So our marriage fell apart, and I ended up, literally penniless. And then that was actually year 2000. So, and my job disappeared, and it was shocking times. But then, I believe that in the world so abundant and countries so abundant as UK and US is also very abundant, it's just impossible to remain poor. You just need to reach out and grab what you want, which is basically what I did, and managed to sort of rise up quite quickly. I think self-belief, if I had to pick something that I think is very important, and something that makes many entrepreneurs fail, and I know a lot about failure through personal failures, but also working with Princess Trust. We have businesses that struggle, so many businesses. I think self-belief is really number one thing that's needed, and something that, I'm lucky enough to have.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. You mentioned a couple of key critical character traits. The first one I recognized as gratitude, and it's amazing how when people like you and I have experienced what it's like to really have nothing. I mean, there was a time in my life too. I wasn't even living day by day. I was living moment by moment. I didn't know how I was going to get to the next moment. But for some reason, it really instills in you a strong sense of gratitude for everything and appreciation for everything. And I appreciate that you recognize that in yourself. And you also mentioned the word abundance, and I've learned myself too. I used to live in scarcity because I thought that's the way the world was. And then I grew and matured and took chances and started building businesses. And I've had more failures than successes, but gratefully the successes far outweigh the failure. But I learned that the world is abundant. Everything we want and need to succeed is already there. We don't have to actually create anything. We just simply have to reach out and grab it. Ask for it and ask in prayer if you're a praying person. And it just I just appreciate you sharing that, because I think of all the things we talked about today, Lilia, that's probably what would really resonate with people the most and help the most to see that in spite of their circumstances don't define them. They don't define us. They're simply circumstances. It's who we are, what our self-belief, which was the third thing, is really what it's the bridge that will take you from where you are to where you want to go. And it doesn't matter where you came from. What matters is what's in your heart. And if you believe in yourself, in your heart deeply, the rest of the world will start to recognize that and come to your aid. It's just almost miraculous how it happens. I wish I could maybe I will write a book on it, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I really agree. I think world is full of magic. I believe in magic. If you really want something, it just happens.
Yeah, it really is true. I'm so grateful for all I've realized, all I've been blessed with, and I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful to get to know you. I'm grateful you spent your valuable time doing this and sharing with all the people. And I'll be wrapping this up in a second, so please stay on, Lily. I'm going to just stop the recording here in a moment, but please stay on for a moment. But I want to express gratitude for everybody I've probably 70,000 some odd people that will be getting this. And who knows, it can even spread further than that. And I think, hearing your giggle at the end of your laugh, it brings it all back to, we're regular people like everybody else, and approachable. And all you have to do, people, is just reach out and ask for help. So, Lily, is there a way for people to find out more about you and what you're doing, a website, and anything that you can share? Because I think you've intrigued a lot of people.
Yeah, sure. So I have a website which is Fixtrade Global. So it's F for Freddy, FIX, like fixing things, fixtradeglobal.com. Or if you Google my name, which may not be so easy to spell, which is Lilia Severina, but the company is called Fixtrade Global. So the easiest email to use is contact@Fixtrade Global, and that will reach me.
Okay, wonderful. I'll make sure my editors put that in the notes for the podcast. And for everybody, it's Lilia, Lilia Severino. Severina, and then the website is fixtradeglobal.com. So contact at Fixtrade Global. But Lilia, once again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope I get to see you when you come to the States, and maybe have you come to one of my events. We have the next event coming up April 5th, 6th, and 7th in Anaheim. This is 2019, of course. The Anaheim Marriott, just newly remodeled right outside the gates of Disneyland. So we get to be kids again. But everybody's welcome. Yeah, and you're welcome too, Lily, as my guest. So once again, thank you from the bottom of my heart, Lily. I look forward to seeing you again, and I think I speak for everyone when we wish you continued success, and hopefully we see you again soon.
Thank you very much. Real pleasure to participate, and have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening to us.
Thank you. Okay, guys, remember, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the podcast, Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women, iHeartRadio, iTunes, probably 75 different channels. And to be on the community, just go to myinvestmentservices.com and look for the link to sign on to the community, where we all get together and network and look at properties and use the tools and techniques and strategies to help you be successful investing in real estate. So, okay, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women. Be sure to go to myinvestmentservices.com to join our community and start building wealth today.